So
But
when
like,
you're like, when you pick up the game, and those are just kind of the first things you see that really sours your first impression.
yeah, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't soured at all. They're really
Right.
quite enamored, and so
Yeah,
like
I'm loving it.
when we talk about the, you know, quote unquote the year of bad games, like I think it's also the year of people really becoming enamored with and finding the joy, like Brian, you were talking about me with Skull and Bones, in these games that like the majority of people maybe don't like, or there is a large amount of people that are deriding it for one reason or another, or just not interested in it. Whether
Oh
it's
yeah, clearly I'm
Ronin
on the
or
Dragon's Dogma train,
yeah,
right?
whether it's
Like,
Ronin or
I
Suicide
got that
Squad
dog
or
behind me.
Skull and Bones or that pun never gets old, Brian. You should keep using it.
will.
Or Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, I mean, I see people that are playing it on PlayStation 5 and they're
Crazy.
loving every 25 frame per second of it.
Oh
I don't-
man, and the thing that's
you know?
just like it sucks, but I was like, there was this. I got so many comments. They're like, "No, man, it's uncapped," and I'm like, no, that doesn't mean what you think it means. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like, "No, guys," and I was like, "They're like, you're wrong about the frame rate, Brian." I'm like, "No,
what
I
do you
am
mean?
not."
What do you mean? Uncapped? What do you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm gonna have a hot take here. Graphics and even frames per second aren't as important as what I'm actually doing in the game.
Sure. You can have a game
I
that
really-
performs really
I
well,
like-
and then the
Yeah.
gameplay's not compelling.
When,
yeah.
when it comes to like a action combat though, like I have the preference that I really wanted it at 60 frames or higher. You know, it's like from an action. Now in a turn-based game, it doesn't really matter at all. You know, so but it's just like that's I'm on the gameplay first train.
Well, just as
frame
long as it's
second.
like if it's 30 and it's responsive.
Well,
if that
as
makes
long as
sense.
it's not going crazy. If they
Yeah,
lock
like
it in
lag
at 30,
is the only thing
that's
that
the
is
only-
like.
right. But if they lock
lag's
it
the
in
only
at
thing that
30 and
bothers
that's
me.
the only way I can experience the game, yeah, I'm not going to make that like the thing that keeps me from playing it. But if they lock it in at 30 on console and say, hey, you can also play this on PC or on GeForce Now and you can go beyond 30 frames, I'll take the
Oh,
version
yeah, obviously.
that pushes the frames.
And
Now, I see this comment. It's like the general population doesn't care about frames. I disagree with that because the general population cares what they're told to care about. And that sounds really derisive, but it's
so
true.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that, but
You can
I do
disagree,
think,
but that's why there's so much money spent in marketing. People complain like,
I
"Oh,
mean,
this
yeah.
game." It's like
I don't know.
marketing is such a
People
but I
buy
care
into
about
marketing all
frames
the time.
too. I mean, like Dragon's Dogma 2 at 27 frames per second or whatever, it just doesn't look good as other experiences that you can get on the same platform. And I understand that GeForce Now is an alternative, but not everybody wants to subscribe to that and do all that. Even though the benefits are self-evident, like there's just people that don't really want to have to to play a game.
Plus,
They
it's
can
on
just not
console,
play
so,
it.
like it's gotta
Yeah, if you're
work
playing it
there.
on PlayStation, like you're kind of SOL. But like that's the thing about Rise of the Ronin is like it's really not going below 50, right? So like people are making all this fuss about how this game doesn't perform well. I got scared. You know, you got people from AirX and Skill Up, you know, telling me that the game doesn't perform well. I'm like, oh shoot, like should I avoid this? And then I eventually get my hands on it. Thankfully, you know, I didn't pass on it, and it's like one of my favorite games of the year. And
Right.
is it more around that 50 frames mark than 60 all the time? Yeah, absolutely. But it's like it's not noticeable enough to really detract from the fantastic experience that I'm having with the game. I think it's a fantastically crafted game. I think Team Ninja has outdone themselves, and especially compared to like some of the more mundane or monotonous aspects of their previous games. And so like and even as far as the graphics go, like I think it looks fine. Like I think it looks a lot like Sekiro. You know,
Right.
not everything has to justify the fact that it's on a next gen console. I think
Yeah,
they made
I mean-
the best game that they could, and it looks like that, and it still struggles to run. Like, thank God it's not on PS4 because they probably would add another Cyberpunk situation. You know?
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's
I
like,
play Final
also not on
Fantasy, so
PC right now.
graphics, like I'm not going to
No,
talk
it
about.
should be though. It should be.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, if it launched at the same time, like, would the PC version not have these performance issues? And then is that just driving people to play, you know, another version? And that's something that I think is an underlying theme that we're seeing continually build up. That you're going to see, I think, in the future, the PlayStation faithful really have to come to grips and come to the understanding that it's not actually about a console anymore. As Sony continues to say, like, we're going to have to start supporting PC more and more. And Helldivers is a start. I don't think it's a light switch. I just think that it's going to be kind of a slow rolling thing to all of a sudden you look up and games are on a console,
Well,
and they're
here's
just
the
also on
reality.
PC.
Game development is ballooning out of control with expense, and
Mhm.
part of that is bad direction. So you have projects that get rebooted, projects that go on way longer than they should have before getting canceled.
Yeah.
Projects that aren't just optimized, they don't have the time to do it, or they don't have the I hate to say it, the team that has the intellect to do it.